We're live. Happy Friday. It is the end of the week and thankful to be here with you today. I feel like I'm just up a little too high. We are ending the week talking about discipline, and I think that this was an appropriate week for me to talk about it. So if you're just joining me, I am Dr. Traci Kiernan, and I am a chiropractor by trade. I'm a doctor of natural medicine. I am the owner of Natural State Health Center and True Balance Health and drtracikiernan.com, and just have a huge passion and vision to help you be your best self. And so I've been going live with you the last month, every day, every weekday at noon Central Standard Time, and I'm here with you again today. And this week we've been talking about discipline. And I think, like I was starting to say, it was an appropriate week for me to talk about it because this week naturally was the week that my discipline was challenged the most that it's ever been in really the last 3 years, I would say. And I think that is so typical of that to come up when you start to teach on something and share about something and call people up to another level. Naturally, then you will get challenged around that. And so this is Friday, and one of the things that I always do on Friday is Fun Friday, and just looking for some fun things to bring to you. And I just think, how appropriate is this? Me, after I eat all of my quarantine snacks in one night. How many of you have done that? I just am like, oh, I'm so sick of people talking about eating all their quarantine snacks. You've got to fuel your bodies well, particularly in a time. Today I'm going to talk about when you're feeling stressed and when you're feeling in a funk and you're feeling sad or overwhelmed and all that. I'm going to give you some tips and things to recognize. But it definitely is not going to make it better if you're eating all of your quarantine snacks and you're feeling like a chunky, chubby little roly-poly baby at the end of it all, okay? Here's the other thing I think is really funny. Where's Waldo? Anybody read these books when they were little? Loved me a Where's Waldo book. My kids love it too. Social distancing edition. Super easy. Where nobody's around. Nobody's around. What else do I got here for you? I have a picture of Shelby. Shelby is down she's down 50 pounds. And she was determined to take her health back into her own hands. And she refused to spend one more holiday season not feeling well or defeated. Anybody been there? You know, the average American puts on 10 pounds, average of 10 pounds a year, usually through the holiday season. Then they'll take some of it back off, but are typically, I think what they say is gaining 5 pounds per year annually. And she did it, man. This is Shelby. Look at those before and after pictures. You know, this is not, what I want to say about this is yesterday I talked about diet culture a little bit. And Shelby was not a before picture waiting to be an after picture. She was a woman who had a deep desire to have transformation from the inside out and took the steps and did the work to get there. So I think when, it's losing the weight is a result of creating some discipline and structure around what you're putting in your body, how you're supporting your body, how you're thinking about your health and where it comes from and what it is. You will not see transformation in your body, in your life, if you continue to focus on what you don't have. So that's the difference with her. We take before pictures of our people because we want them to remember where they came from, but also to be encouraged by what they've stepped into. And again, you have to look at this in a space of, you'll never get where you're going if you're going to focus on what you don't have. Okay? So we talked about creating discipline around what's going on between your brain and between your ears, so you can start to visualize where you're going again. Okay? I'm nursing a baby right now, and so I'm not somebody who cuts out all grains and all carbohydrates, but I just wanted to share with you, I'm a huge fan of avocado toast. So I just slice up my girls really love this snack, or lunch or breakfast or whatever. And so I use a Ezekiel bread, which is sprouted grains, organic version, really the best type of grain you can consume if you're going to consume it. A lot of my True Balance patients have cut out grains for a short time, and when they reintroduce them, they see how their body can handle that. So not everybody has to be grain-free, gluten-free for the rest of their life. And avocado toast is a really good. I sprinkle a little Himalayan rock salt on it and some lemon juice, and a little paprika is really nice on there too. So there's just some great options for a healthy snack. If you are going to eat a higher carbohydrate meal or food, I recommend doing it on a day where you're going to have the highest amount of activity, okay? So for example, this morning I went for a very hilly walk up and down hills. It's easy to find hills in my neighborhood, and I was pushing a child, and so that's a little bit more of a higher activity day for me. Or if you're going to be doing high intensity weight training or high intensity interval training or a longer, more intense aerobic type of exercise, those are the days to eat higher carbohydrate foods, okay? And how about this? To all my realtor friends, my Mandy Knack, shout out. If you need a realtor in the Little Rock, Cabot, Sherwood, North Little Rock area, Mandy Knack team, Porchlight Realty is who you want to see. I'm giving her a shout out today. But how about this? Realtor, can you see yourself being quarantined here? Like, isn't that so appropriate? My husband and I would have the joke when we watch HGTV, we're like, oh, can you just see us having coffee out there on the deck? You know, but here, can you see yourself being quarantined there? So those are just some fun things. Here's a little shot of my family, my 4 babies. We're doing slip and slide this week. I have not posted that video of me doing slip and slide because I only got 1 request. And I don't know if you need to see me in a swimsuit, but if you want to see it, I got to have more than 1 request to post that on my page. Okay, we're talking about discipline. Next week, by the way, we're going to be focusing on energy and how to create and have more energy in your days, in your body, in your relationships. And so that is what next week is going to be focused around. This week we're talking about discipline, and I will say you need some discipline in order to create more energy in your life, okay? But what do you do when you are in a funk, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling like, I don't think I can get out of my bed today? Anybody ever been there? I know I have. In fact, I was close to being there midweek, and so I think that this is why it feels really appropriate to talk about it today. And I don't know if that was just because it was a really rainy, dark day, or if it was just because of some other things. And so I'm going to give you first some things to be aware of, that if these signals are what you're feeling, then the first step is to be aware. And I want to call you up to a level that says, hey, let's not be surprised when we feel a certain way, okay? Let's start to together as a community here to take responsibility for how we're feeling. And the first step to do that is to have an awareness of what are the things that you might have done to create you feeling like you're in a funk and you're stuck or you're feeling horrible, okay? So let's talk about that a little bit. The number one is, and I'm going to talk about this one first because I harp on it a lot, is what are you spinning up about? Has something happened in the last week or days that you're spun up about? Meaning you're ruminating on it, you're thinking about it all the time. Is there a situation, a conversation, something that somebody said to you? Maybe you had somebody try to run you off the road, or I don't know, I haven't spent much time in my vehicle lately. But was there a culmination of things that you're spun up about, that you continue to think about, that are keeping you in a state of anxiety, of anger, of frustration? And if so, what do we need to do about it? And is it, I just got the request for the slip and slide picture. I'll think about it. The video is slow motion, so it's a little bit vulnerable for me. So where was I? Ruminating, spinning up about certain things that can cause a negative physiological response. Like, are you stuck on the one thing that happened last week, maybe a month ago, maybe 4 months ago, that you're still angry about? That now, because you can't stop thinking about it, is creating a stress response in your body that is giving you the signal that you need to figure it out. That's the number one thing. Are you spun up about something? This happened to me this week. And if you remember on yesterday, I said, hey, on Wednesday, I had to go home over lunch and take a nap. And I had a hard time getting back up and going again. And I was like, wow, what's causing this? And so let's together just have some common sense around having awareness of what's causing it first, so then you can move out of it really fast, okay? There may be somebody that you need to forgive. There may be a conversation. Like, here's what happened to me. On Tuesday, I was getting a request that had something to do with a really hard season I went through last year, and it brought up all that old stuff for me. And I found like the anxiousness and the nerve, like the things that I never wanted to think about again, all came up for me again. That was on Tuesday. And by Wednesday, I felt it physiologically. And it took me until this morning during my quiet time to realize what happened. So can we exercise the way to get there quicker, to have an understanding around it, okay? So what are you ruminating on? The other thing is, what are you responding negatively to? So that would be more of like a reaction to something. And so for mine, I was spun up, plus I was responding negatively. And there was no reason for me, nobody was in trouble, nothing bad happened. It was just a request for a piece of paper that needed to be sent. It had nothing to do with anything. But I allowed myself to respond negatively and to go to a place of like, oh, here we go again. This is coming up again, okay? It was no big deal. So why I allowed myself to do that was probably, here's the other one, are you tired? Are you fatigued? Have you been pushing so hard that you need to take time to rest? Because I will say this, remember I said I have not been sleeping as well because of certain things, babies and all of this, is when I am tired, my response is less appropriate, okay? Not in a bad way. I'm not somebody who gets really angry or really fast, or I react quickly, but I know if I can be, and I heard this word this morning, sharp, like edgy, it's because I'm tired. And so, I just had to go home. The one thing that I know about myself, if I'm feeling like that, to protect the people in my life, my physiology, I need to honor it, go home, and take a nap, okay? That might not be the simplest thing for you. You may need to have a conversation. You may need to create some discipline between your ears of how are you reacting to anything, If you remember this week, I told you about how I backed into my recycling canister and the whole thing dumped out on the street. The whole thing. Trash everywhere. Remember, my recycling only gets picked up every 2 weeks. It was full. Sparkling water cans, cardboard, you name it. It was all over I responded so beautifully to that. I was proud of myself. I just picked it up and I was like, oh, this glass bottle, we don't recycle that anymore. That needs to go in the trash. And I just carried on with my day, and I did not let it go into the rest of my day. Am I always like that? No. But it allows you to create the discipline to put it in place so you can protect your spirit. Okay? That's a really important piece. If you feel terrible, if you feel horrible physically, it's an effect. It is an effect. It's because of something. So what else can cause fatigue? Not sleeping is one that I talked about, but maybe you drank too much wine. I went out for a walk with my kids last night, and there's people in the neighborhood with boxed wine everywhere. And I'm like, They're not going to feel great. Maybe they'll be fine tomorrow, but in 2 or 3 or 4 days, that is probably what's going to keep up with them, catch up with them. And here's the problem. If you drink too much wine one night and you do fine the next day, then you might not realize that in 3 or 4 days, when you're feeling terrible, you don't feel like exercising, that it might have been from the 3 or 4 nights before. Okay? Maybe you haven't worked out or moved your body in a while. Maybe you're fueling your body with the wrong things. Too much coffee, not enough water. That's one of my struggles daily with 4 little people. Maybe you're consuming too much sugar. Maybe you're consuming all your quarantine snacks. But let's first take responsibility and have a conversation and stop pretending that we don't know why we feel terrible. Can we do that together? That's just silly. You hear me say often, it's crazy to try to eliminate a symptom without getting to the cause. And part of it is taking the responsibility, having the awareness to know, okay, let's look at this big picture. What might I be responding negatively to? What might I be spinning up about? Why might I be fatigued? Whether it's a sleep issue, how am I fueling my body issue, how am I moving or not moving issue. There's just so many levels to it that you can start to pick apart and look at, oh, okay, that makes sense. I can shift this. I can make a change here. That will make a difference for me. And then start to just incrementally put the pieces in place. It can be really that simple. Really that simple. So what do I do? What do I do when I'm feeling terrible? Is number one, if it's usually, for me, I need a little bit more sleep. I just need to rest a little bit more. And because I get up early in the morning, that might be a morning that I decide I'm going to sleep in a little bit. I'm a huge fan of going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. But if your body needs more, you have to honor it and listen to it. A lot of athletes that I take care of use heart rate variability training, and it gives them communication of when their body's stressed and when they should not intensely exercise one day, or maybe gives them the green light to really push it one day, or this day is a day to rest and don't exercise at all. And I say, hey, that's great for athletes, but you can listen to your body signals. That's going to be the same as some objective measurements that you can take from taking your heart rate variability every day. Just honor it. What do you need? And give your body what it needs. It doesn't have to be so complex and so hard, okay? So the question is, can carbs do that to you? I eat carbs and I feel worse tomorrow. Absolutely yes, because certain carbohydrates, look, carbohydrates are broken down into 3 categories: sugar, fiber, and sugar alcohol. Fiber is the antidote for balancing your blood sugar, for moving waste and toxins out. Those are going to be found in your green leafy vegetables, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, your cauliflower, Fiber is very, very good for you. It's the carbohydrate that is high in the sugar end, a high glycemic load, high in the glycemic index, that's going to spike your blood sugar levels, cause your insulin levels to spike, your blood sugar to crash, and then leaving you craving more of the sugar on the other side of it. And in addition to that, sugar is going to increase your inflammatory levels, which can leave you feeling inflamed and in pain and tired and fatigued. And if it's a constant cycle, it's just going to create hormone imbalance, which is going to be hard on you too, and it's going to make you feel terrible. So that's why, Janet, that's a great question. That's a great question. Okay, so here's what I do is I sleep if I need more sleep. I fuel my body well, fuel it well, okay? If you have not marked your calendar for our webinar that's coming up on May 2nd, 12 Central Standard Time, I'm going to be talking a lot about nutrition. That specific webinar is on weight loss and how to manage your health well and how to overcome weight loss resistance, okay? And then I move my body. If you've heard me say this, I do not move to be thin. I do not move to be like fit in my skinny jeans. Although I would love that, and I love to look great for my husband, and I do it mostly to change my brain, because I'm a better version of myself. I have more joy, I have more energy when I have been moving my body well. That's why I do it. It's the only reason I do it. I couldn't say that that was the reason I did it when I was in my 20s, but now at 39, probably a little too old to be doing slip and slide, but I also want to just be able to run around and have fun with my kids and like put on this dang swimsuit. You know, I don't care about that. I just want to be present and vibrant for them, for my family, and for my husband. But I move to change my brain. There's something that happens, the serotonin levels increase when your body is moving. The serotonin is much different than dopamine. Dopamine is what you get from sugar, okay? That is the pleasure hormone. Pleasure is not sustainable. It's the serotonin, the joy hormone, that is going to give you the feeling of feeling good for a long time, okay? And then the other thing that I do, so I get more sleep, I move my body, I fuel my body well, and then I do something for someone else. And that is maybe a selfish ambition, but usually, always, 100% of the time, if I'm feeling bad, I can bless somebody else and I get a blessing in return. If I give more of myself, I receive more joy. And so maybe, and especially in this quarantine time, it's time today to do something good for somebody, okay? Maybe, and it's okay to be selfish about it, okay? Maybe you just say, I just need to feel better. I'm going to go serve somebody. I'm just going to go rake somebody's yard because they live alone, and I know that it's difficult for them to do that, and there's nobody else to help them right now, and you just go do it without being asked, and see how good that makes you feel, okay? There's ways to get up and get out of this. If you're feeling stuck, it might take some discipline for you to get there. That's what this week was about. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to increase your energy. It's one of the number one things that that people desire of, is saying, I'm just fatigued and feeling tired all the time. How do I get more energy? That is what next week is going to be about. But in the meantime, tune into, mark your calendars for May 2nd. That is a webinar on weight loss and maintaining your health, getting to the root of your health concerns. May 2nd, 12 Central Standard Time. Pay attention to that. We have an ebook coming out, A Week with Me, 7 Days for You. So we'll be having a link to how to download that. I think you're going to really love it. And it just shows how can we make things really easy for you. Like eating healthy and moving your body doesn't have to be hard. I think sometimes we can just be so blocked by the overwhelm that we do nothing. And so we just want to give you a template for ease in implementing some things in your life. And then also just check out my website, drtracikiernan.com, for some other resources. And hey, Tom Stetson, I see you here. I just want you to know I've been covering you in prayer, buddy. But thanks for tuning in today. And it is Dr. Traci Kiernan. Tune in on Monday at 12 Central Standard Time. I will be here with you, and maybe pop in one day this weekend. I hope you have a very blessed weekend. Find some time to create some joy for yourself. You deserve that.